Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katrina and this is the first week of August, and today's wrap up is going to be kind of short because I only completed 1, 2, 3, and that's not even really the truth because the two other books other than the Personal Librarian were short stories, and I don't know what it was. I kept starting books, so I can probably talk about those and a little bit, but that's it. So this will be quite a short video. So the first book that I did actually complete was The Personal Librarian. This was the book about, it was a fictionalized history book. It's about a real woman named Belle DaCosta Green. She was J.P. Morgan's personal librarian, and more so than just finding rare books for him, she also looked for other kinds of antiquities and art and things like that. But the kicker was that she was Black, and she chose to, or her mother kind of chose for her, and she went along with it for the rest of her life, that she chose to pass for white to be able to do that. And JP Morgan was, you know, a known racist and anti-Semite, and I was just very drawn to the idea of the fact that she became rich and was able to pull her family out of poverty, and also then the fact that she had to live with that fear. Probably at first it didn't seem like she had a lot of fear towards the end of her life. She seemed very settled in who she was toward the end, but that's just my guess by how she was written in this fictionalized version of her. The book was kind of down the middle for me. It wasn't that great, but I was my mind was really stimulated by the book, and I just kept thinking so many things. And when I wrote in my reading journal about it, I ended up writing 4 pages, and I ended up stopping, and I could have had like 2 more pages. I just lost my train of thought because I had to go do something. I was looking up the real person. I still want to look up her father because her father was even interesting. So when someone passes for white, it almost always splits the family apart, but in all the stories I've read, it's been cousin to cousin or sister and sister, never a husband and a wife that I've read about. I mean, I obviously it's happened before. This was the first time that I read about it. And so the wife went white and the husband stayed Black, and he was the first Black graduate of Harvard Law School, I believe. He went on to be an ambassador to Siberia, and he had a second family there with a Japanese woman. So I wanted to read up on him and look at his pictures and all that kind of stuff. And I look at her pictures, and she was described as like this sensual woman and everything, and she looks very normal. I'll put up some pictures that I find of her, and but it's probably just the way she carried herself. And yeah, and it's interesting too because when one of the articles I read about her was I didn't find how she knew she was going to die, but she burned a lot of her stuff, her personal stuff, before she died, and donated like the business stuff. So the business stuff and like stuff about her being the librarian is historical record, but all of her, she knew that she was going to die. And I'm like, did she have cancer and she knew it was like, all of that is so amazing to me. She's so interesting. So I felt like I couldn't really rate the book because if it made me think so much and made me so excited about learning more about someone, can I give it a 2? But the writing itself wasn't super engaging. It was literally the person that was being written about, and I could have probably gobbled up just a biography about her. So that sent me down a whole nother thing of to review or not to review. Like, why do we review books? And so that actually became another video that I will eventually put up. So the next novella that I finished was A Dead Djinn in Cairo. Now I had originally wanted to read The Master of Djinn, and then I realized that this was a novel in a universe of books, and there were 3 prequel like short novels to it. And so I read A Dead Djinn in Cairo, and the world is interesting. It's hard to access a little bit for me, and what I mean by access is that it's so easy for me, as a person who was raised, I sought out, you know, fantasy books, and my husband's into different fantasy books that all basically are different versions of medieval England, right? And our history focuses on Western history. So it takes work for me, even with fiction, to appreciate and be able to like recognize the sounds of like a Ghanaian name or a Nigerian accent in a audiobook or something like that. And Afrofuturism is really hard for me to understand and like relax, and I can just sit back and just let a King Arthur retelling just roll over me and not even be paying attention, and really by kind of osmosis understand what's going on in the story, because you already, you know. So this is that kind of book. This is an alternate Cairo. It's steampunk. There's like giant meadow angels and ghouls and assassins and all this kind of stuff, and it was really cool. I'm going to listen to it again before I go to the novel. I just lost it. The Angel of Khan el-Khalil was really good, and it was a little shorter. So the first book was 48 pages. This one was 32. But I found this book on Scribd under a podcast, and it was read by LeVar Burton of Reading Rainbow status. I mean, those Shrekies. Trekkies know him as, oh, I can't think of his name, but I'll put his picture up of the character that he was on Next Gen. And I am a Trekkie by, Trekkie, how would I put it? I'm a Trekkie by marriage. No, not marriage. My dad's big into Star Trek, so I couldn't get away from it. So I know it's very recognizable to me and stuff like that. But like Gordy or Geordie was his name. Anyway, but I remember him from Reading Rainbow, and I love his responses and things on Twitter, and he gives me the same warm and fuzzy feelings that Mr. Rogers gave me. And it was wonderful to hear him read it. It had really great production quality. There was music and things like that, and he just read it really well. And he has a podcast called LeVar Burton Reads. So that's awesome. So I'm going to find it on, I guess I can find them on Scribd, but I'm also going to kind of look and see what other books he's read. But that made this much more, I remember the book more, I enjoyed it more. And maybe it was a little bit more impactful, because the young lady in this story came to this big giant meadow angel and was asking for help to save a loved one, and the payment was a truth, and the truth was really painful. Like, she said, okay, I'll tell you a truth. So she told her one of her truths, and it was this incredible pain. And she was like, you didn't tell me it was gonna hurt like that, And then the next truth, the angel didn't accept. I'm gonna also put up the artwork for it. It is so beautiful. I actually want a print of this. So that's it. And then I started the next book in the same world, the Dead Djinn world, The Haunting of Tram Car 015, and the tram is haunted. That's basically all we know. And I want to say too that the second book was written, and I don't know what the literary word is for this, but let me know down in the comments. But what is the second person, where it was like, you are walking this way and you are doing this, and I was like, that was so weird. But it's still, I ended up, because of the production quality and I still ended up enjoying it and understanding what was going on. So anyway, so I just started The Haunting of Tram Car 015, and then eventually I want to get to A Master of Djinn, and I want to stay in the world again. I don't want to break it up. Like other books, I can break up a series, but I want to stay in this world because it's tangentially connected, number one, and it is something that's hard for me to kind of hold on to. So that is what I read I started Hairpin Bridge by Taylor Adams because I loved No Exit. No Exit, it was like, I've raved about that book, but this one is not the same. Like, it's like a totally different person is writing this book, and so I want to give it, I definitely, because I feel like I will DNF a book normally, but because I enjoyed this first book, his first book so much, I feel like I need to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if that's odd. The Ruins is another book that I was excited about. Stephen King himself said that it was like the best book of the year. A bunch of reviews said that this was a great Stephen King book if Stephen King could write a good ending. I'm not enjoying it yet, so I'm still gonna keep trying with that. I'm also kind of, maybe I'm horrored out, because horrored out, because I read a lot of horror books lately. I've been on a kick, and so like a lot of the books that I'm not finishing are horror books. So Summer of Night is another one. It's I saw it on a new booktuber. I can't think of her name right now, but I will. It's like Skywalker. I'll find it. She likes spooky things all year round, and I got that book recommendation from her, and it's called Summer of Night by Dan Simmons, and it's kind of Stephen King, what was the one where the little kids found the dead body? So it's kind of like that, but it's not Stephen King. It's very clear that it's not Stephen King. I also started Soulmate Equation, and I fell asleep. I don't have anything to say about that yet. And I started Sweet Tea with Sympathy, Sweet Tea and Sympathy. So it is starting off just like any other Molly Harper book. It was a couple nights ago, and it was one of my very frequent uncomfortable insomniac nights, and I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, and end up listening to music rather than read a book. So that was my very ho-hum reading week. I hope that your week went better than mine. Let me know what you've been reading, and maybe I can find something that grabs my attention and holds it this next week. Let's see. So the emoji for this, I'll put like a face about how I feel. I'll put the face up. And if you could find the face, you could leave that emoji. Otherwise, let me know. Give me some recommendations. I love twisty mysteries, thrillers, and horror. I love a good twisty mystery, thriller, horror middle grade. I love a good social commentary on black bodies, fat bodies, prison. Let's see. I love a good paranormal romance. So drop me a recommendation, and we'll see if next week will be better. Be easy on yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.